All right, here we go. Welcome back to the Your Future Endeavors podcast. I am Diavolo,
And I am Lunchbox.
and today, we're bringing you a bit of a heavy one. If you don't know, this past Monday, um, a legend in the wrestling community passed away. Um, Mr. Scott Hall, the bad guy, Razor Ramon. Um, he unfortunately passed away. Um, don't want to get into all the details just out of respect, but um, he is no longer with us. And I think we could both say definitely this one is a tough one to digest.
Yeah, yeah. This one's hard.
Yeah, it's and we just talked about it recently a little bit off recording here. Is just like you don't really appreciate or as people don't really get appreciated as much as they should when they're here. And
hmm
I think this example with Scott Hall's passing is very much rang true in that regard to me. Like he's there's been just this outpouring of love and support to like his family and stuff, but he definitely had such a great impact on the business, and I think it's a shame that I mean obviously he's a two-time Hall of Famer. He definitely did get appreciated, but we hadn't seen him in some time, and it didn't get talked about as much. Like when you think about the greats, I feel like Scott Hall's a name that kind of gets forgotten about a bit because a lot of people focus on the world champions. Razor Ramon, Scott Hall is never a world champion, um, but the impact he had on the business, I think, can surpass that of many of the people who held world titles easily. Um, I mean, we can go through moments after moments, matches after matches, and we'll get into that later. But I think it's definitely appropriate to give him his flowers and show him the respect that he deserves.
I 100% agree. I think to casual fans, they'll of course know him from his early Razor Ramon days, and of course the NWO. But I don't think a lot of them would understand the other stuff that he played an important factor in, like the ladder match and just other things. You know, like he's more important than people think.
He's kind of the
And
guy that made being the bad guy cool.
oh yeah, and I was actually thinking about that. Like before that, there really wasn't a person who was the cool bad guy. Like like before then, there was clear cut lines. You're a heel or you're a face, and I feel like he's probably one of, if not the first person to ride that line. Like, boy, you hate his guts because he's a bad guy, but he's so cool, and like you said, he just oozes machismo.
Hmm.
Like you can't help but to love him at the same time,
Yeah.
and we're talking. I mean, I know that's pretty accepted nowadays, like with guys like CM Punk and Roman Reigns, and on occasion Brock Lesnar when he's not carrying the championship 400 million days and, not defending it. But before all of those guys did it and made it cool, um, he did it
He was the
long
OG.
before they did it. Like exactly, and I think that says a lot about him. He did it during a time when, I mean, I know later on kayfabe would be broken by him and Triple H and Shawn Michaels and Kevin Nash, but we're talking about an era where there were clear cut lines. You're either bad or you're good, no exceptions. And he seemed to find a way to to break that. He was the exception to that rule. Like, yeah, he's the clear cut villain, but there's just something about him. He's just got this aura to him that attracts the people.
Yeah, absolutely agree. He just oozes machismo, charisma. Uh, just, I mean, it's like even today, like it's just you see there's a lot of influence. Like Damian Priest does it like a version of his walk. Even
Mm-hmm.
adopted the Razor's Edge into his move set. Like even like for example, like if I ever have a toothpick, if I'm ever getting rid of that shit, I'm throwing it just like he did. You know, like without
Exactly.
without fail. You know, like he it's like he was the bad guy, but you definitely like wanted to be him. Like, he was just that cool. Um, and incredibly inspirational, man. Put on some of the best matches of all time. I mean, you mentioned like what he meant to the ladder match. That ladder match with Shawn. It's probably the best, one of the best of all time. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and we can go on and on. I mean, through moments and matches. He had a really good match with Stone Cold where he sold a stunner like no other at WrestleMania. Um,
Oh yeah, he jumped like 8 feet in the air.
yeah, it fucking took off. um, and just yeah, man, he just it's a shame that he's gone, and I wish I could have gotten to see him more whenever like or I wish I could have been around during his era to see it all. Because I mean, looking back on it and seeing the impact and seeing the connection with the crowd and all that, like it's so cool to see, man. He was just a different breed, and so you don't really see a whole lot of performers like that anymore. And it's kind of a shame.
I agree. He's um when you think about him, he's in a rarefied air. Jericho uh said something that I've been thinking about for a while, and I might have to agree with him. Jericho says he's the greatest wrestler to never win the world title, and I've been thinking about it. And honestly, Jericho might be right
I
because,
can't think of a reason to disagree. Yeah.
like, I mean, everybody else. I mean, except the only one that I might put up, two that I might put up there with him would be Jake the Snake and Roddy Piper. But even then, I still think he cruises by them
Hmm.
when it comes to being the best, like, all around wrestler to never get the big title.
Yeah, I think there's definitely like I think with Scott Hall, he edges them out simply because he I think it's his character work. If to put it anything else, like all three of them are really good in ring. Um, but I think obviously his character work because it just broke new ground with it. Like
Mm-hmm.
he created something and innovated something that was completely different and kind of unseen at the time. So I think that I think that rightfully gives him the edge.
I agree.
No pun intended.
I, I 100% agree. um, he was very unique, um, and like just an incredible person. Um, and I think something else that speaks volumes about him as an in-ring competitor is how many demons he was actually fighting behind the scenes, but was still going out there and putting on great shows and putting on a big smile and, like,
Just entertaining fans.
just entertaining fans. Like, you wouldn't know that he was struggling the way he was struggling.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't know until this year that he Uh, I won't go too deep into it because I don't want to be too dark or nothing. Because this ain't Beyond the Mat or Dark Side of the Ring. But he that he got into a bar fight, and unfortunately the other guy lost his life. And apparently that's something he really struggled with. Like, even though people vouched for him and it was self defense, apparently he really struggled with, taking somebody else's life. And that's one of the reasons he got heavy on booze.
Yeah.
But to think that somebody like that was going through all of that in his own mind, but was still going out there and being the best Razor Ramon or Scott Hall he could be, I think that's a testament to the man. Because I don't know how many other people could deal with those same demons and keep going and still go out there and put on the level of show that he did. You
Yeah,
know?
I agree, 100%. That it's like you said, it speaks to who he is as a person to be able to do something like that. And obviously, it's a shame what happened in that regard, but fucking, if you're able to go out there and continue to put on a show like that, dealing with those things, he definitely should be commended for that. Um, and it's yeah, it adds even more to the point. Like he's one of the greatest, and it's a shame that he's no longer going to be with us. He won't be able to strut around with us anymore. Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's sad, man. And honestly, and even more so is like uh, like I feel worse. Like I feel horrible for his family, obviously, but I think Kevin Nash. I feel fucking. I feel for this man so much because that was basically his blood brother. Like kind of like how we are to each other. Like that's what
Yeah.
their relationship was. And I can't imagine having to go through something like that and that level of
Yeah.
pain, man. That's I really feel for everybody that was personally connected to him. Like that uh that's good.
Oh, man. Yeah. Poor Kevin Nash. Like, I know he's struggling because, and even in his post that he made, he was like, or a comment that he made, he's like, I spent more time on the road with this man than I've spent with most people in my whole life. And like that just is a testament to how how important Scott Hall was to Kevin Nash's life. And man, this dude is going to leave. He has left a big impact and has left a big dent and a lot of hearts, man. Because he was just so good. Like, I know we keep mentioning it, but that ladder match. A lot of people, when they talk about ladder matches and the best ones, they often go to those Edge and Christian versus the Hardys versus the Dudleys.
Mhm.
But Razor and fucking Shawn Michaels did it years before um, any of those guys. Like, and
Yeah.
I think that speaks volumes to his talent to put on a classic like that, and the first televised one at that. Like,
Right. Like it's I mean they really took that to a whole nother level. Um I mean it's like we said it's up there best ladder matches of all time. I mean you could consider best matches of all time really. Um and just and not to mention as well like obviously what we mentioned he never won a world title but he kind of I think along like you could put him in the upper echelon tier with like Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels and like all these names that kind of made the Intercontinental title what it is. You know, like he definitely like when you think of whenever you mention the Intercontinental title, it's I think it'd be completely inappropriate not to mention how important Scott Hall is to that title and the prestige that it has and why it's so important, why it's called the workhorse title because that's exactly what he was. He was an incredible workhorse. Um, and he definitely like you know at points throughout history that title has been more important than the world title than the company's main title, and it's because of people like him.
Oh, I agree. Like, just like you think to the WrestleMania where they had that ladder match, and like off your head, or at least off of my head, I can't tell you what the main event was, but I can tell you about that ladder match.
Yep.
You know, because that whole feud and that whole match outshined everything else on the card. Um, and I mean, like he made that title important to a lot of people, like Matt Cardona. For those who don't know, that's the former Zack Ryder. But to him, when he won his Intercontinental title at Mania,
Mhm.
um, it was a dream of his because he'd always imagined winning it the way uh, Scott Hall did because he had a big influence on him, and he even took pictures with Scott Hall backstage afterwards because that's how much the title and Scott Hall meant to him. Um, and I saw this one post by I can't remember who it was. I think it was Malachi Black. Actually, he said he was like he was honored to be able to sit back with Scott Hall at the request of Johnny Gargano to watch that ladder match for the Intercontinental title with Scott Hall and Shawn Michaels, and just being able to sit under those trees of wisdom and listen to them talk about the match. And he's like, that's one of the greatest moments in my career is just being able to sit under their tutelage and learn. You know,
Mm. Yep. Exactly.
like,
Exactly,
the
man.
man's great, and I don't know. I don't know if there's he's one of those rare ones, man. One of those rare gems that you find, and I don't know. It's gonna be hard uh, to move past this one, man. Because such a legend, and like he has one of the greatest finishers of all time.
Oh,
Like
definitely.
the Razor's Edge is just, or Outsider's Edge for those WCW people. Um, it's just a beautiful maneuver, and he was one of the smart ones to protect his maneuver, and he didn't use it if he wasn't winning because he didn't he didn't want anybody saying they kicked out of it. He wanted a move that signified the end, and that's exactly. I mean, it's called a finishing maneuver for a reason, and he treated it like that. He treated it like it was the most precious thing in the world to him,
Yeah.
and he wouldn't perform the move if he wasn't winning the match. Like the person would either reverse it or he just wouldn't do it at all. But he never connected with the move and then somebody kicked out. And I think that speaks volumes because, especially in today's world, everybody kicks out of everybody's finishing maneuver.
Mhm.
Only a few can be uh, said that they've never been kicked out of. Baron Corbin has his end of days is one of those moves that no one's ever kicked out of,
Yep.
and that's all a testament to Scott Hall, because Scott Hall started that trend of people not kicking out of your finisher. Kenny Omega is another one. His one winged angel is a move that hasn't been kicked out of. That's something that he he has firmly protected, and that's all influenced by Scott Hall and his protection of his finishing maneuver. Um,
I do love the saying that he used to apparently backstage, like he like with talent and stuff, he would be like, "Hey, nice finish. I can't wait to kick out of it." Like he'd tell people.
that's hilarious.
That's awesome.
And knowing the kind of guy he was, I could see it. I could see him just looking at somebody and being like, "Can't wait to kick out of it."
Toothpick.
Pointing his toothpick at him. Oh,
Hmm. Here's an interesting question to propose. How many toothpicks do you think he's gone through in his career?
good lord, man! I imagine he was the first human being to ever go through an actual pack of toothpicks.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's definitely a worthy title for him. I can't think of anyone else who could have possibly. He definitely
Yeah,
has to
because
hold the record for most. That's for damn sure.
I agree. Because he had one toothpick behind the ear, one toothpick in his mouth. He throw one at you. Maybe occasionally he throw the second one at you too. Like
And he always
you
had him.
know,
He always had him. Like no matter where he was, like even out in public, like he just always has a
mm-hmm,
toothpick.
always got a toothpick, bro. Like
Always got it.
and like and you've got something when you can make a guy daggum toothpick famous.
Yeah. He's brought
You,
prestige
you,
to a
you
toothpick. Imagine.
I know it's a little pointy stick. Who else do you know could get over a little pointy stick? Nobody. Nobody.
Yeah, maybe Chris Jericho, but that's
Yeah,
it.
maybe Chris Jericho. Like
But that's it.
that.
Like he did get the word it over. So yeah, but yeah, that's definitely it's definitely true. Like if you ever next time I go to the the local Chinese buffet I'm talking about. Next time I go there, they got the little toothpick dispenser. I'm taking that whole thing.
Just grab the whole thing.
Yeah, I'm taking the whole thing, and I'm keeping toothpicks on me forever.
Oh yeah, man. Like
Just as an homage, but nah, man, he's his work, his solo work is incredible, and then obviously, I mean, we can't talk about Scott Hall without talking about the NWO and the impact
oh
that
yes.
they've made. I mean, best faction of all time.
You know what? That's that. You know what? I don't think I can argue with you. I mean, I know there's a
There's
handful,
there's some very
not even a
close seconds.
handful.
There's some very close
Yeah, there's
seconds.
some very close seconds like Evolution and the Shield and maybe the Four Horsemen, but outside
Yeah.
of that, no, not really. Only those few right there, and maybe Undisputed Era, but I feel like Undisputed Era is only for like us hardcore fans who love watching NXT.
Yeah.
Um, um, but like, no, man. Like Hulk Hogan said, and this is a tweet he's released uh, since Scott Hall has passed. He was like, everybody felt like Hulkamania was dead and Hulkamania was on its way out of the business, and then Scott Hall and fucking Kevin Nash revitalized his career with the NWO. Um,
Yeah. I
and
mean,
that's
that's one of the
speaking
biggest heel
volumes.
turns of all time.
Oh yeah,
because I don't
Like
think
I
he
feel
was
like
ever
that's
heel before that happened, right? Like, so it's
um
definitely
I think he was heel before that, but I'm talking about he was heel. This is before even Hulkamania, before like we're talking about his early days,
yeah,
like before WWF. Like he was really early. I mean, he still had a full head of hair. That
yeah.
that's how
Fair.
early this was. But like I man, to say that to give Scott Hall that kind of credit, like that speaks volumes to who Scott Hall was as an entertainer and a wrestler. Like like he just had a mind for the business. Like I agree, I think the NWO would have still been pretty popular if they went with somebody other than Hogan, but I don't think it would be as popular as it was without Hogan.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, because the only other person that might have had maybe a close impact like Hogan would have been Sting, because Sting was the big baby face of WCW. Like he was the beloved guy,
yeah,
but I don't think it would have been as shocking as Hulk Hogan, because up to this point, Hulk Hogan has been the biggest face in the wrestling ever,
yeah,
in the wrestling business ever. Up to this point, I mean, of course, Stone Cold comes on later on and stuff, but up to this point, nobody had reached the levels of Hogan as a top baby face or a wrestler, period. So for him to turn his back on everybody, ooh,
yeah.
like
Yeah, it was a. Oh, pardon me, I'm tired. It was a very very big moment. Um, it changed the business forever, and
I agree.
um, and he has his fingerprints all over it. You know, some of the biggest moments, some of the biggest swerves and changes in the business has got Scott Hall's fingerprints all over it. And
Oh
so,
yeah,
um, his impact will be felt for as long as professional wrestling is a thing.
I agree. I 100% agree. And I don't want anybody saying that he wasn't generous as a wrestler, because during an era where big guys just didn't lose to little guys,
Hmm.
he put over X Pac or Sean Waltman. He was known as the Kid at the time, but he put him over quite a few times.
Yep.
Like one of the biggest shocks in Monday Night Raw history is when he lost to X Pac.
Yep.
And it wasn't the fact that X Pac won, it was the fact that he beat Scott Hall. And how many other big dudes of that era, like early 90s, early days of Monday Night Raw, like how many other of those big dudes would have done the same? Put over a small guy like X Pac.
Exactly. I
Like,
think he went on to
not,
be known as what 123 Kid because of that.
yep.
Yep.
Like, who else would have done that? I mean, the only one I think might have done that might have been Taker, and that's not. I don't know if that's so much out of the generosity of his heart or more to the loyalty that he had to Vince and the trust he had in Vince's ideas.
Yep.
But I feel like I know that X Pac was really close with the clique, with Kevin Nash and Scott Hall and Shawn and Triple H, of course. Um, but even in that era, most people, even if they were really close friends with him, they would have squashed him,
Yeah.
no doubt. They would have squashed X Pac. They wasn't going out there big, jacked up, heavily muscled dudes. They're not going out there to lose to a dude that weighs 170 pounds soaking wet. That's just not gonna happen.
Exactly.
Like, because the way wrestling was, back then, it was like, ain't no way. a little dude like that is gonna be the big guy like that.
Yeah.
And I feel like now that I'm sitting here talking about it, I feel like that set up. Uh, it laid the foundation for future lightweights to become big stars, like um, Rey Mysterio, for example.
Yeah.
Um, I feel like if there wasn't moments like Scott Hall putting over the Kid, there's no Rey Mysterio winning the world title
Yeah.
because
Definitely.
it's just not believable,
Yeah.
or at least that's how it's portrayed. There's no way this little dude is gonna beat this big monster, or beat this ring general like Kurt Angle or Randy. You know, like it just wouldn't happen. You wouldn't see people like Adam Cole, who was NXT champion and North American champion, and it it just wouldn't have happened if somebody like Scott Hall didn't lay down the foundation for little guys to beat the big guys.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I agree
and
with that.
I don't think people think about stuff like that often. I mean, I think that's incredible. Um, because again, like I said a couple times now, big dudes just weren't doing that at the time. Big dudes just ran through everybody.
Yeah. And not even that. Like too. Like that. That's obviously like a major point. But like the ego that wrestlers had back then too
Oh yeah.
was much more inflated. Just like losing in general
Mm-hmm.
was not something that went over well more often than not. So I think it just speaks to him that he was selfless and humble with it. Like he went out there and
Mm-hmm.
he put somebody over and completely catapulted his career. Like if
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't happen, we may never get X Pac. We may never see his run in D-Generation X and the tag team championship with Kane and
Mm-hmm.
him joining the NWO and there's like all that. You know what I mean? Like there's so much there. Um, so in fact, it just one simple move right there, one moment helped create a star in Sean Waltman. So it definitely it definitely just speaks to him as a man, like the person he is. He was a bad guy on TV, but the best guy off. So
Mm-hmm.
and even more so, like the fact that we can sit here and even think nobody really talks about that. The fact we could sit here and come up with these points and just look back on moments on his career and really kind of like analyze those moments really speaks because I bet there's even more that we could speak on we just haven't even thought about.
Oh yeah,
That
like
just shows how
another.
impactful his imprint is on the business.
Oh, I agree. I think another point to make is going back to him never winning a world title, even though he was the one that got the NWO started. Him and Nash, he always took a back seat to Hogan or Nash or other people in the NWO. He never, you know, he never, like you said, he was humble. He never got angry or nothing like that. He just he knew what his role was, and he made the best of it. He didn't go out there complaining every fucking nitro, complaining that, oh, I don't get the credit I deserve. I don't get the world titles I deserve. No, he just went out there, did his thing to the best of his ability, and he went home. Like,
And that made him become a two-time Hall of Famer.
yep.
So, and it just goes to show, like, sometimes you keep your head down, you keep fucking, you grind, you come to work, you do your job, you never know what could happen. And I mean, he's one of the best workers in the business for that reason. Like he
Yep.
And I believe I've heard before that they've tried to offer to put the world title on him, and he refused. I believe like I could be wrong, but I believe I've heard that before in interviews where like they've offered him to put the world title on him, and he declined. So like how many people would decline back then a world championship run? You know what I mean?
I mean,
Considering
shit.
the
Even
egos.
today, there's not many people that would decline having the world title put on.
Jinder Mahal sure didn't.
Nope, he should have, but he didn't.
But that's not here nor there. Uh, but but yeah, like it goes to show. Like I think he knew his spot, but he could have been so much bigger. He could have been a world champion. He could have been probably considered the greatest of all time. Really.
hmm
Um, but he did a lot of work in putting other people over and making sure that you know that there were other stars. And it's like he did that with obviously like his humble character, but just with the quality of his matches too. Like
Yep.
he's just all around. He checks every box and is absolutely 100% one of the greatest, and deserves his flowers. Um,
Agree.
and like I said, it's it's good to be able to go back and watch these moments, but it's a shame that we'll never get to experience something like that again.
I'm 100% with you. This one's going to sting for a while.
Yep.
Um, cause especially to our generation and a little older than us. Um, I don't think people realize the impact somebody like him had,
Yeah.
and it's gonna sting these next few weeks and months as we go back and we're reflecting on all the great stuff he did in the business. Um, he's gonna be sorely missed, man.
Yeah.
He really is. There aren't too many people who've come along or will come along that will be as good as that. Will be as elite, no pun intended, as that.
Yeah. Yeah. They they just don't make him like Scott Hall anymore.
Nope.
So yeah, it's sad, man. It's sad, but there luckily we have a lot of people that have been impacted by him that'll carry on his legacy. And like I think you mentioned as well, like his son said that he wanted to step back into the ring. So
Mm-hmm.
that'll be cool to see. Um, yeah, man. I think that he's gone from us now, but like his impact will still continue to be felt through generations after this. And I think even more people now will look back on Scott Hall and really like understand what he brought to the business and kind of try to bring that into their own work. And
Mm-hmm.
and hopefully that impact continues to carry on.
I 100% agree with you.
Man, well, um, is there anything else that you want to add?
No, just my condolences to his friends, his fans, and especially his family. Um, I know that this must be really tough. I've dealt with death personally in my own life, so I know that this isn't something that's really easy to deal with. And I just hope that all these people are able to heal and they're able to find some peace in the. And I just my condolences to everybody, especially his family.
Yes, I share the same sentiment. You know, best wishes out to his family, friends, fans. Um, Yeah, like you said, you've dealt with death personally. I have as well, and I can't imagine, especially given the circumstances, how hard this must be. Um, that's it's a tough loss in any regard to lose a family member, but especially I think someone as great as he is as a person. Um,
Mm-hmm.
that's real tough. So, um, you know, my thoughts, my wishes, my heart goes out to them, and I hope that y'all can find peace uh, somewhere down the line with everything, because I know how difficult it must be. Um, but yeah, so that's pretty much all that I have to say. Um, I feel that it would be appropriate um, to end the video um, with like a little moment of silence for him. So um, I guess this is it from us. I'm Diavolo,
Lunchbox.
and we'll do a quick little moment of silence for him and quietly end the video here. Thank you guys for tuning in, and
Thank you.
we'll see you in the next one.